Welcome to the Fellas Podcast, the ultimate Formula One podcast for fans by fans, where we discuss all the happenings in the world of Formula One. Now, let's get into it.
Welcome, everyone, to our episode of the Monaco Grand Prix. What a race it was. I think it was a great race for us to talk about and get into the details. Today we have Ralph and Ray with us, but we're going to first start off with Charles Leclerc winning the race. What do you guys think about the race, guys?
Well, I think it was a good thing for Charles, right? He's the only other person he's one of two that's been a true resident of Monaco that's won the race. And I felt for him emotionally that it was something he's been chasing for multiple years now, right? And things finally aligned for him so that he was able to bring it to completion. So, and from that, I understand the emotion. I heard it. You heard it when they published the radio towards the end, and he himself during an interview also admitted that he was getting overwhelmed like two laps to the end, and he had to rein himself back in to stay focused. So props to him. You could see how emotional it was because even the Prince of Monaco got involved, right? And so it's a long time coming, and I'm very happy for him and his achievement. So that was my take on that one. And I think it was deserved also.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, he qualified well. He was strong, and like you said, this was the third time's the charm. Right, and he finally got it. So, yeah, I was happy for him too, and I could see it. Yeah, I like Charles because you could see they're all composed, but yeah, to hear his emotion in the car over the radio, like you could tell, and then, like you said, he said he was crying in the car when he realized the tears started coming because for him, his father passed. He had told his father a little white lie before he passed that he had signed with Ferrari before he even really had signed. And then now he won his home Grand Prix. He would have loved to have shared that with his dad as well. So it was very emotional for him. So I'm very happy for him.
Yeah, I'm very proud of him. Third time's a charm. He definitely has qualified first, number one pole as far as qualifying 3 times. This week was his third time. And he actually won the race going forward. So I was happy for him. You can tell from the interview that he was emotional. He was trying to hold back certain emotions as he was talking and giving his post-game comments. And that means that the race meant a lot to him. And I have a feeling he's going to win more. But before we go any further, people, please subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell to support the channel. So I was also impressed about Piastri. Piastri did a great job this week in showing everybody that, he is here to stay. He's here to win, and he's going to compete with Lando Norris going forward. And I feel that they're going to have some really tough challenges at the end of the year of who's going to really be the number one person for McLaren. I don't know what you guys think, but I'm dying to hear.
Well, I believe that, right? I've said that before in past episodes, right? I think in the last episode I brought up Piastri, or I
don't remember.
I said that he's something to watch, and you see it. He is on the move, right? If McLaren is able to get a car that can come together more as far as reaching the Redbull car, it's going to be game on. And I think Zach seems to be on board with them fighting it out. But Piastri is I give him props. He's a force to be reckoned with. He's not, in some ways, I know it's a loose representation, but it's kind of like a Lewis, type of thing where he's coming on and, instead of being the quote unquote true second fiddle, he's stepping up to the plate and saying, you give me the equipment, I'm going to wring its neck to make it do what it needs to do. Right. So, I'm not sure if McLaren was kind of looking for that or expected that, but you got to watch him. He is he's going to win this year. I agree that he will win an event this year. But I think as far as podiums, him and Lando, I think Zach's going to have a little sit down talk with them that when it's just them two, what's going to happen. That you can't out the other car. You know what I'm saying? Because it's Lando has a thing that he'll go to the edge with to do his passing and get around you and stuff like that. And I think Zach's going to have to step up and say, yo, bros, listen, the key is to finish both cars, right? Because I could even segue into what I just said there, just diving a little deeper into the event with the two team cars that, in the race that they hit each other and one went over the other and they had to, retire both cars, right? And, so that's not a good thing. I give him props, because when I look at Piastri and then I look at Logan Sargent, they're both rookies and, it's, yeah. So anyway.
No, all I was saying, Piastri has it. He has that extra talent.
Yeah.
Sadly, I'm not to talk about Sargent. We don't see it from him.
Yeah.
But Piastri, he's someone that he's looking to be a world champion in the making. And he's not that far off from Lando. So he keeps Lando on his toes, Lando relax. Because he's as we see here, he out-qualified him.
I want to make sure we're giving Logan his fair shot here, right? If Logan was in the McLaren, do you think he would be in a better position than where he is now?
I don't think so yet from what I see. In history, there have always been drivers that were in cars that weren't that good, but they were able to see the spark in them. Alonso is one. Vettel when he was with what was the name of the team back then? The sister team to Red Bull at the time, Toro Rosso. Vettel was there. The car was not a Red Bull car. Like it wasn't on the level of that. But Vettel showed out. I remember it was a rainy race and he won. He drove that car, like the rain separates the drivers, who can handle it in the wet. And he raced hard and won, So I think a good driver will always make a bad car shine to the limit of that car. But those in the know on the pit lane, they'll know. They're like, oh, wow, that car is not capable of that speed or that whatever, but he's getting it out of it consistently. Let's watch him. And I don't think Sargent shows that yet. So
you're saying like Suki Tsunoda is getting the best out of that car, and you can tell he's a driver. Comparing him to Logan Sargent, Logan Sargent is not doing everything that we feel he should be doing as a rookie. Right.
Because remember when Tsunoda a few years back, he was crashing cars. He was all, very emotional. He wasn't in control of himself. They always saw that he was fast, but he was too reckless, let's say, or too erratic. And it seems now you can see that he has settled down. He's gained control of himself in that regard and can let his talent shine. So he's on his way. I don't know if he's a Piastri or a Norris right now, but he's good. He's good. He's getting the most out of that car.
All right, I'll say this. Like, it reminds me back when you're in college, right? When they mark on the bell curve, right? And right now, Piastri is throwing off that curve, right? Because if he was crashing and doing stuff like, more frequently, then I don't think it would show as bad for Sargent, right? In my opinion. But when you look at Sargent and then look at Piastri is like miles ahead of him, right? Because, yes, Yuki had the period where he was, wrapping stuff up. Even, what's his name? Schumacher's son was wrapping stuff up, right?
Mick,
yeah, right. So I can see that. But in this class that he's in, Piastri is beyond that. You know what I'm saying? He is like, to me, he's like a seasoned driver. He's not a veteran yet, but he's a seasoned driver.
Fourth year driver. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yeah. So, he's a seasoned driver. He's completing the whole class. And that's what I'm saying, that he's ready to rock and roll. He reminds me of young Lewis when Lewis showed up on scene. Yes, Piastri, when Lewis showed up on scene. Right. And he thought, he's just stepping into it. He's young. And Piastri's like, okay, let me show you what I got. All right. Because now he has the same upgrades as Lando and, he's putting it to work. Yeah. It's more to come from Piastri. He's going to win this year.
I have a feeling he is. Yeah. I have a feeling he's going to win.
Yeah. He's going to win this year. And he may win too. But it's going to be, it's enter team. They're going to have some work done. Right. Because if him and Lando is going, I don't know if they're going to throw team orders and say, if Lando has more points than him, then fine. I have to see what the points are now, right? For him to go. But for team owners, it's the worst and the best of all things wrapped up in one, right? Because you got two good drivers that can compete and go attack. But at the same time, it gets worse when they're attacking each other. You know what I'm saying? So, how you rein that back in and say, hey, we're going to do it this way. Yeah, I think, I'm impressed with Oscar, was doing his stuff. And I just wanted to circle back really quick on something there with going back to Charles. For a while, they were complaining, and I heard that the pace was really slow. I think what he was trying to do is push back Piastri into Seiss, right, to distract him that way so that he could be, free from him. Instead of Piastri focusing ahead, now he had to be focusing back.
Possible.
Yeah. So I remember them saying, we're saying that too. I think I said that last week that it was, it's like it's the surrounding thing was, really a big thing about Monaco because there's not much on-track action, and which is true. However, I agree with what the drivers say and I think one of you guys said it last week that at the level of concentration, the intensity of concentration is so high that they're drained at the end. Mm-hmm. And I agree because you have look how many guys are brushing the arm code, doing qualifying, doing practice, right? Mm-hmm. And then, we got Simon's friend over here. What's his name? Stroll. But after Alonso hooked him up, and say, all right, man, I'm going to hold back everybody and give it to you. Tap the barrier and just threw it away. What's up with that? But anyway, no, I'm only joking.
Well, one of those F1 drivers over the years said, if you're not brushing the barriers, you're not going fast. The key is not to hit them, but
too much, right?
Is okay. And boy, did they brush them. There were a lot of camera angles that showed that. But
yes,
I think just to go on what you said, what I recall more this year, where they, yes, they have drivers that say it's kind of boring or whatever, but none of them were really racing flat out because you can't. Right. So it's like they found that sweet spot. I think one of them said like 4/10 back down or whatever that for them. And they just brought it home, so that they're not hustling too hard because you can lose it in the blink of an eye on that track, So one last thing just to say about Charles that I didn't know, but I heard there and Jules Bianchi that died in Suzuka. That I mentioned last week was his godfather. And there was a time when he was in the junior categories where his racing career, his father ran out of money and his career was going to have to stop. And Jules went to Nicolas Tott, who's Jean Tott's son, who was the team principal at Ferrari during the Michael years and now is the head of the FIA, went to his son and said, listen, you got to support this guy. He's good and whatever. And Nicolas Tott supported him really just to please Jules. But look at the driver that if he didn't have the money, for all those other people that didn't have the money, that had the talent, look that we have Charles Leclerc is here and he has the talent. Is because of that, why he's here.
Yeah, and I thought it was slick of Ray mentioning how Charles was holding up the line and gave a chance for us to respond to that. But there was, I believe what they were doing transpired based on the end of the race, right? So after the red flag, after changing tires, they knew that they could go the entire race on those hard tires. However, coming down to the end, they needed to make sure that they had enough tread to be able to handle anybody trying to pass them down the straight. So I believe he was holding up, or at least making sure his tires had enough life in them at the end of the race. And in order to do that is just to really slow everybody down. And if someone's coming to try and pass him, there's only one opportunity to do that. And if he had to, it's on a straight, so on a turn, he'd just give it more gas and make sure that they can't pass. But as you can see at the end of the race, the top 5 drivers had enough tread left to hold off anyone. No one passed anyone. Well, I think it was top 12. No one got an opportunity to pass. So I think Charles played it right, played it smart, as long as everyone else, because you could see even Verstappen and Lewis were charging and got to behind Russell, but they still couldn't pass him.
The only places on that track, like I said, where I've seen passes, I forget. It's where it's that horseshoe turn. I've seen some aggressive passes done there over the years. I believe it's the Newey chicane, which is the one right after the tunnel. I've seen this happen there.
Tsunoda, I always say his name correctly. Hopefully,
Yuki Tsunoda. Yeah,
I think he made a pass on that chicane after he changed tires.
He may have. I don't recall. He may have, but that's a spot where I've seen it more so than anywhere else. So yeah, it is a processional track. You know, like you said, where you qualify is normally where you finish, and that's pretty much how it went for the most part.
You got to remember that the cars got a little wider also, right, from back in yesteryear. Yeah. So it's still harder. It's harder for you to get side by side now, unless if the other car is performing okay, it's harder for you to get side by side in order for you to really do that, right? So, those are the things that add up to it. But yeah, no, Shaw. I think they weren't sure that tires were going to make it, yes, but and I think Shaw's did do a good thing by, hey, dude, that is some thinking that push him back. So that he has to, so your guy behind you, because that's what Carlos' job was, to push fresher forward on him, to distract him from a team perspective, right? So, as it's just that you didn't want to really push Carlos so back that, the guy behind him now could attack him and, and stuff like that. So it's trying to figure out where that balancing point is. But no, he played it well. And, it is from a spectator standpoint, it's not that, entertaining. However, but I agree with the driver's assessment that the level of intensity that's required in their focus and concentration is so high, it's unreal, because one little thing, right, and you hurt your car, right? So these guys were like going at it, even especially saw it during qualifying. It's just like they're like poof poof poof, paper thin between the wall and the tire, when they're apexing some of the turns. So again, props off to these drivers, right? And I wanted to roll back on one thing here with you said the truth, that there are a lot of good drivers that did not make it to Formula One because they don't have money.
That's absolutely correct. Just one last thing. I think Monaco is a driver's race, not a spectator's race. So I believe there's sponsors, there's manufacturers are looking at these races to see who's actually technically advanced enough to be in Formula One. I think it's a test. And the cars are more advanced now than they were, a decade ago. There's really no chance that you're going to pass someone unless your car is just inferior, right? Or their car that you're passing is inferior. And it's just one of those drivers' races, as you can see from everyone's ability after the race. They just can't. They're just completely wiped out. They have no energy. They're spent. And this, from a spectator standpoint, is kind of boring unless you put in 2 mandatory pit stops.
Monaco isn't the place for that. But yes, okay, I agree.
The red flag did that, right?
Yeah, and the red flag helped.
Yeah. So there's one mandatory pit stop now. There's one, because you can go all the way with the tires, but they put in a mandatory pit stop to make sure that there is some variability and there is some sort of suspense to the race. Right. I think you got to put in 2. In my opinion, that's just me.
I want to hit one more thing though, the K-Mag thing, right? That caused the red flag. I'm not throwing K-Mag underneath the bus. It's just that this year, he's been targeted. 3 into that spot wasn't going to work it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I think I kind of agree. I think it's just a racing accident. They were going at it, and it happened. And it just shows you, especially at that track, how dangerous it is when you qualify lower down in the field. Checo was, he was right in the middle of the road going up the hill, and he had Hulkenberg on the other side, and K-Mag on the other side, and it's just that the track came back in on K-Mag, and caused up the whole thing. So,
but I'll say this. No, I'll say it's Magnusson's fault.
Why?
Because the track, the track's coming back in. So why are you going to try and run your car up the outside and it's coming back in, and you're at Monaco? There is no runoff. He should have backed out, settle back in behind him, and be patient and try to take him somewhere else. it was never going to work there because, like you said, Perez's car was dead center. There was no room, and the track was coming back in. Where are you going to go?
I don't know if I buy all that because K-Mag he's just looking at Perez. He didn't see. I doubt if he saw Hulkenberg on the other side. That's why it's called a racing incident, because he was looking at the guy in front of him and saying, "Hey, I can squeeze in between there."
Situation awareness. You're gonna push. Yeah, you're gonna push, but you're not at a track where there's a lot of runoff. So you're fixated to go ahead, but you got to see if your rear is clear. Because what if he slammed in on you? Where are you gonna go? If you didn't check and you had to come back to where? You don't know. You got to check at least. And I know these cars are fast. I just feel this one was his.
But I just want to say, follow up on that. But Hulkenberg was another car away from him. You follow what I'm saying? Because Checo was in the middle. So he wouldn't be able to see unless if he's focused on going where he's going, he can glance at his mirror to see if the guy is there. But he wouldn't have seen Hulkenberg there, right? Because Hulkenberg was on the other side of Checo, right? So he was just, I'm dealing with Checo and I'm dealing with the track and seeing if I can, beat Checo to that point where I can, he has to move over. So, so that's, that's my thing for, that's what I say about K-Mag is that, he didn't see all the way over that, Hulkenberg was on the other side. And I don't think Hulkenberg, may have seen all the way over that K-Mag was on the other side either. That's kind of my take on that one.
I tend to agree on the side as far as the error is concerned on the driver that's in the back. It is hard to see with those two small side mirrors who's on the side of you and how far they're back behind you as far as gauging that distance. So Hulkenberg he had the perfect view to see that his front left tire was probably going to hit Sergio.
No, you mean K-Mag.
K-Mag, sorry. And because of that, I believe it's his fault. Right. That's just me though. That's just my point of view from watching it from TV, from understanding, situational awareness as far as those side mirrors. There's no way Perez can judge behind him how far K-Mac is close to his right rear tire. So, but I think it also could just be a driver's incident, and maybe he was going to hit the brakes a half a second later, and he just going to get an opportunity to do it.
Hey man, your adrenaline can get you. You want to get through. You want to push, but I just think that one, like I said, I was like maybe a little too aggressive there in that point for Magnusson. Like you could have eased off. There are other places if you want to follow him close enough that you can get him. That's better, or the outcome would be better. True, the driver is going to expect that as well, but I didn't think that point was the place to do it.
Well, but you got to say, Monaco. So, all right, let's roll it back, right? We just all agreed that Monaco is a hard place to pass, right? So you got to strike while the iron's hot, right? You're coming off of a restart. You're coming off of a start, right? Everybody's not, all situated up on there. You got to go for the gusto.
Tires are cold. I get it. Tires are cold. You have an opportunity.
And again, and I would, I've been buying into more if I didn't see the in-car from K-Mag, but I just know that Hulkenberg was a car width away from him. So I'm not sure if the mirror covers that, right? I don't blame Checo, right? Because he got the middle of the road. He saw both of them. If he had time to look in both mirrors, he would have seen two cars on his, right on his back. K-Mag didn't get to the point quick enough that he had to go on. He still didn't even know that Hulkenberg was on the side. So even if he got beside him, I think the end product is the end product regardless of what happened, because he didn't know that the other guy, and and I'll say this, Checo was a sitting duck. I'll say that. Checo was a sitting duck in that whole setup.
So was Hulkenberg, because he was just trying to go around them. He saw what they were doing, but he was trying to go around them and get away from it, and then he got caught up in it.
All right, so I disagree with that.
The brakes. He can't just slam the brakes and wait. He's going to try and go around. But you tell my man K-Mag now that he needs to slam the brakes, right? But so both of them are approaching from behind. So if you see why can't you check up? You just come out the gas and check up and let him go, because you don't even have to jump on the brake. You just ease out because you see it playing out in front of you, right? Because they're both coming up on, it's like in the what do you have in the military? They have a formation where you have the lead guy and you have the guys, behind them. That's how they're approaching. They're approaching Checo, right? So Hulkenberg could have just,
oh, this is not going to end nice. Let me, pull back out of this, right? And maybe it would have still happened, say, because they're both trying to strike while the iron's hot, because they know that passing after that is slim to none, right? And that's what they're trying to do. So Checo got caught as a sitting duck on that one, I think.
I'll just say this last piece on it. When you said Hulkenberg could have slammed the brake, could check up. No, Magnusson was the cause, so he was the one that should be slamming the brake to back out of that or not going into it. Hulkenberg is just trying to run his race, and if he slammed the brake, what's to say the car behind him isn't going to slam, and you're going to have like a multi-car pileup more than what was there. I'll say it. For me, Magnussen was at fault. I don't think he got any penalties for it or anything. They just saw it as a racing incident. But yeah. I just think it was too aggressive. And then how so too aggressive? That you even took out your teammate. Wasn't intentional, but your actions took out your teammate. That's a no-no. Okay. So all right. That's all I'll say. I hear your point, but I just feel
we're going to agree to disagree on that role, right? Because again, I would be looking at it from your perspective, I'd be on your team. If Hulkenberg wasn't a car width away from him, then he would be able to sense, because I can't speak for other people, but I can speak for myself, that sometimes when I'm driving and I'm like moving on some stuff, I feel like an aura of, like, if a car, even if I don't check the mirror beside me, I feel an aura of heat come on my face. And every time that I've done that, there's been somebody right there, like sitting in the blind spot on a move I was trying to do. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't know if it goes across the board, but I just speak for myself that
not everybody has that spider sense, right?
Okay, whatever. I don't know what happened.
But I'll say this one. Magnussen didn't get a penalty. Ocon almost took out his teammate Gasly.
Right. Yeah.
But they slapped Ocon with a 5 grid spot penalty. That one, I'm like, it happened to your teammate. It happened. How are you going to slap him? This guy took out a whole other team plus his teammate. But you know why? Because I think if they give him any more points on his super license, he's not going to be racing for the rest of the season.
Yeah, well, true. Yes, yeah, that's in question. You know what I'm saying? And he had to. So, but he helped out. His mother team, Ferrari, right? Because Sainz was able to come back and go into third position.
Oh
like he was.
Gosh.
Yeah.
How is that even possible? Is it because we didn't do a lap? Is that why?
No, well, so I was listening to Peter Windsor. It's in the rules. The race officially started, and they usually fall back to wherever the race was at that point, right? So that's it. Because it raised up a lot of uproar about it. My man K-Mag's been helping out everybody else on the stuff, and he's been getting the heat for his help, because he helped out his teammate, and now he helped out the mothership. You know what I'm saying? So they all owe him.
Yeah, I just don't understand how Seitz was able to get third position again. Cars that had already passed by that time, and the accident happened. I thought the accident happened after he got a flat, because he drove it for at least 15 seconds while the tire was flat, because you can see the sparks. I thought maybe it was only 10 seconds or 8 seconds, but I guess the accident happened prior to him pulling over, or I don't know. It just seemed weird that he was able to get that spot back.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's somewhere in the rules.
And I didn't hear anybody argue about it, or anybody had any.
No, because it's
during the race. I don't know about after the race, but
I'm sure it's in the rules. We just don't. Yeah. We just don't know what it is, but it's in the regs.
I heard people saying that Red Bull has competition, and I'm gonna approach it in this way. Until I see another team walk Red Bull on a regular track that don't have a lot of handicaps, before I buy in, because in Imola, right, Lando came close. So, if we need to find a track where, Monaco is completely different, we know that. And even when I think they're going to Montreal next, right?
Yeah, they are.
Right. So it's kind of, to me, I look at those as special tracks. And I'm waiting for them to go to a track, like
Monza.
Or Spa, something like that. And then at that point, then when if I could see McLaren or whichever team steps up and ride his bumper, right? then I think okay, we're ready, because even you guys have said, right, that they have upgrades to come, right? They may not have major upgrades, but they have upgrades coming to the car. So again, for me, I'm waiting to see when we get there for me to say buy-in that, hey, on a non-special track, you can, you have a true competitor that's going to walk to you and stay with you, So that just that's just me saying that. Because I heard a couple of commentators saying, that Red Bull has to watch out, because now they have competition, and I'm like, hold your horses there, buddy. This is some unique instances here. We can't, I don't know how you're going to reach that conclusion yet. You got to get some of those regular tracks, Silverstone, stuff like that, Coda, those type of tracks where it's open, right? And see the person popping up there, then I'll be on board and say, hey, they got competition this year.
I will ask Ray this question. You do.
The answer is no.
You can say, and it can't be no, because this question is going to be very geared towards what you just stated. But you have to agree that they're closer than they were last year. There have been races.
Yeah. But that's nothing, man. That's nothing.
No. He was beating everybody by 20, 30 seconds last year in races.
Yeah.
It's down to 5 and 7 seconds now. And he's lost to Leclerc. He's lost to Lando. And he lost to Sainz.
Yeah.
So he's still in the points lead, right?
Uh-huh.
And Sergio Perez, to me, was also beating everybody last year, and he can't beat a soul this year. So I shouldn't say a soul. He's still up there in the points. I think he's third now, but he's not dominant as he was last year. So I believe that the drivers haven't really gotten any better. I believe that the cars have gotten better. They've gotten used to the cars. And I think once Red Bull does do their upgrades, then you have a point. They might just walk away at the end of the season with the last 5 races, for all we know. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys, I'm going to the last race. But anyway, that's a side note.
Whoa, hold on. You're going to where? No, don't gloss over that.
Abu Dhabi.
Oh, you going to Abu
Dhabi? You, man.
Yeah. So I could explain that a little later. But that then I will believe and have to agree with you. If they do upgrades, then we're in trouble. But right now, the Montreal race, I'm thinking McLaren and Ferrari have put doubt in Red Bull's mind, especially Perez. I don't know about Verstappen just yet. In their mind, and it's creeping in, and they have to be consistent. And if they drop back, then he's going to get very motivated and confident again. But right now, his confidence has shaken a little bit, I believe.
Well, I think he's cautious, but I don't think they've lost much of that. But Montreal is a good track. It's quick. And then
where's the passing of Montreal then? Where's the passing on Montreal?
I have seen I was fortunate to be at the race when Michael was running back then. And I saw coming down the front straight, they come down to a quick left-hander, and then it turns to a right-hander. I've seen the passes take place right there. I was in that grandstand to see them. They set it up and line up and push right in to kill the apex and go around.
Okay.
There's a horseshoe up at the top
that
they can also pass. And then one of the things that's an equalizer is the wall of champions. So before you get back to the straight, you have to come down. You're basically coming down and you're making a quick right. But as you make the right, the wall is there. So and then you have to make the left. And a lot of drivers have kissed that. It's kind of reminiscent of Monaco. So I don't know. I think the Red Bull is going to be on fire on that track because they have some straights that they can use. It's a car that they've said does better with more straights where it can stretch out a little. So it'll get a little of that in Montreal. So I think Ferrari and McLaren will be close, but I don't know if they have enough to take it.
We'll see. I think they're in trouble. I truly believe that until they do upgrades, I think they're in trouble.
And the thing about Sainz starting, they said that there's a safety car line or a safety car line which if all drivers past that line, then he would have had to start 16th. But that line was the pit exit. And one driver, Zhou Guanyu, had not passed it. Therefore, he was able to come back and take third place. But if Joe had passed the pit exit, he would have started 16th on the restart. Science. So that's how.
Okay, that's the way to dice the rule book. But getting back to what we're talking about here, the teams got somewhat better, marginally better this year than last year. Instead of being 20 seconds, they're down in the teens. Fine, right? But they're still not there. Until I could see coming out of Montreal, where you do the horseshoe that leads onto that straight right before where you're coming back to where pit entry is, where you have to do that little jog to the right and then back to the left and don't hit that wall. Until I see another team car pull up side by side with them, they're not ready. Okay. Because the speed is Red Bull's strength, right? The other times that they have lost, some of it was due to reliability issue, right? That they were able to do it. The closest that's happened is Imola, where Lando started pushing up on him, right? And if it was given, and I believe that if it was like another 2 laps, would have had a race then, right? So so to point out the stance I'm taking, let me say that is yes, I need to see another team compete with Red Bull at their strength, right? Which is that straightaway speed. You walk with them in there, then we know it's on like popcorn, right? But until then you got to do a lot of nuanced move. It's got to be strategy. It's got to be that type of stuff. Bring the other part of the game to it in order to do it. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I wanted to see something on track to send that message on track to say, yo, bro, I got you, right? And then the strategy, then the team will fall off to the strategy stuff that to compensate for that. But you sent that message that I'm still here, bro. You know what I'm saying? You didn't walk me. I'm still here. So that's what I'm kind of looking for.
But didn't Lando do that in the race where he won?
He did, but I believe Max, I don't believe his car was at full capacity, if I recall. There was something maybe with him in the tires or something was going on with him in the car. See, he was comfortable out there. Lando was pushing, and then he had to wake up because he's like, oh, wow, he's closing. But I think that's what it was. But if the Red Bull is firing on all cylinders and everything is there, I still think it's still stronger.
So I think Lando did it twice. I think he did it when he won the race, and then there was a race where I can't remember the track. Please excuse me. Where Verstappen still won, but Lando was running him down.
Right. That's Imola. The race before,
right?
The race
that has straights in it.
Yeah.
And McLaren was Piastri. I think I got sent to the back by accident, but he probably would have won that race too. But anyway, we won't talk about that. But I think McLaren has a car that can compete with Red Bull on the straights. But we'll see. As you say, we're coming up to races where the straights are going to be very distinguished, and we'll be able to tell right away whether or not McLaren and maybe Ferrari has the straightaway speed needed.
Yeah, I think they're getting close. We'll see. Like I said, if they continue to develop, meaning McLaren and Ferrari develop their car, and if Red Bull doesn't, highly unlikely, but if they don't, then getting down, they may catch them. It might get very interesting, but I just haven't seen full proof of that yet. Monaco is not a good track to judge that. Imola was, but we need another track kind of like that to see, like, can you do it again? Can you? And if we see it in Montreal, it could be game on.
Yeah, we'll see. Because again, Montreal on the backside, you can't do much passing back there, even though they redid the track. So I we'll see. But again, I guess I'm the simplistic guy, right? I want to see it out there when my man comes up and he's like, "Yo, I'm still here, bro." You know what I'm saying? So, and then now you send that message like, okay, crap, this is a thing now. So now you got to rally the other stuff around, to come do it, because yes, it's a team sport, true, and you can bring it in, but and the other teams will exercise the team aspect of it, to maximize what ability they have. But it'd be cool to just see, you're trying to put lengths on me, and I'm just saying, yo, I'm here, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm here, and to put that constant pressure on Max. Then we're going to see see who shows up at that point.
Yeah. Montreal, it has a fast sector 3 in the back.
Yeah. as a long sector 3. I mean, it's pretty much the half the track. So qualifying is going to say a lot. I think if Max is still, 0.3 seconds or more above everyone else, I think you're right, Ray. I think we're getting too happy too soon. But I don't know. I really think McLaren has a competitive car.
They do.
And I think they have really competitive drivers.
They do.
And I think it's going to be, the rest of the year is going to be a challenge.
Yeah, they do.
Unless Red Bull comes out with something, but I think they've maxed that car out. I don't know if they can do anything aerodynamically on that car that's going to give them any more.
I hope so.
Everybody else is catching up. It's been 3 years now, right? Going on 4 years next year. So
and
there's only so much you can do, right? Unless you change
everything starts over next year. So
no, after the end of next year, right?
No, after that, yes, after.
Yeah. So, but I hope so, because that's, as spectators, that's what we're looking. Well, I can speak for myself. We're looking for that type of stuff, right? Because all the cars have improved, right? And when you take Max out the equation, then you get racing, because you get all the other teams coming to those other 3 teams coming together working for who's gonna take that point, right? But for me, really, that Max is a shining star, and that's who you're shooting for all the time. So we'll see. If somebody can get him and hold him, I think it would send a message, right? Because if you think you dusted a guy, man, and the guy just, I'm still here, bro. You know what I'm saying? It sends a whole psychological change, right?
Oh, yeah.
And how things, to do it. Then it will be interesting from a spectator standpoint.
It will, because it will cause Max to kick into another gear, right? Right now, he's kind of on autopilot. He hasn't really had any threats. He's running his own race out there. Right. He's just bringing the car home. But let like Leclerc or Norris or Piastri close up, or even Sainz close up on him. He's gonna kick it. He's gonna have to kick into another gear,
right?
To really hold on.
Right. Yeah, because I think you don't even have to pass him. Just be there waiting for him to make a mistake. Just the fact that he can't shake you is going to be as good as passing, right? As long as your car can stay running from behind, he will fumble, right? Because the pressure will be there. Because what I'm saying, it's he will fumble. It might be rare, but he will fumble. You know what I'm saying? Because you're just there at that point the whole time, just there, right?
So
just
for your education and for my education, I just looked up where Max stands in the points, right? He's 169. Mm-hmm. Charles is 138. So really a race and a half behind Max, right?
Yeah.
Lando is 113. He's third. Carlos Sainz is 108 and he's fourth. And Sergio Perez is all the way down in fifth. And Piastri, in my opinion, is probably going to pass him next week.
To piggyback on that, in the constructor standings, Ferrari's only 24 points behind Red Bull as of this race, right?
Right. Yeah.
So those margins aren't that large as they were last year, the year before, So
last year he pretty much won it around this time.
Yeah.
You're right. We probably shouldn't get too happy, but I think the sport needed it. After the last 2 years, we've been seeing him just, max out the car, pun intended. And, I think now we need to have some competition. I think it will get a lot more. We all know the popularity of F1 is high as it's ever been, but we would draw a lot more people if there's some sort of parity going on, right? Yeah. So.
Because having said that, Imola was the most exciting race, and it got down that way with those closing laps, right? Where Lando was catching Max. That was the most exciting race, at least for me, of the season so far, because I was like, oh, wow, here we go. He was almost like how Carlos was in the behind Piastri. But to what Ray said earlier, where he felt Charles was slowing down so that Carlos could close up, which is a possibility. But I remember I was like, wow, yeah, he can't attack because this Ferrari is right all over him. And that's how it was looking in Imola with Lando closing on him, on Max. So I hope Canada is as good as if not better than Imola. And he doesn't walk away with it.
But I don't want to walk away without saying this. what the heck is going on with Mercedes, bro? You got a customer team with your engine package walking away from you. What's going on at Mercedes?
That's happened. You know what it is?
You know what I'm saying?
They went the wrong way, and they have, just like McLaren, just like Ferrari, just like Red Bull, it's a slow process, and they have to find their way back. So that's what happened. Hey, as they said, everything rises and falls, right? So now it's Red Bull's turn again. Mercedes will come back. They'll probably come back with George, but let's hope Ferrari rises, because they seem to be Ferrari, McLaren, and poor Williams. They've been foundering for how long now? So that's what's happening with Mercedes. You know, they missed their way, and they have to claw their way back. But yeah,
you got to do an Aston Martin thing. Copy somebody, bro, because you don't got it right. You know what I'm saying? Every time you come to the track, your stuff is off.
They got AMG on speed dial. They're gonna call them up. Come on and help me out. But I think this even from the constructors' point of view, I think right now they're looking at best to be 4th or 5th. Yeah, Mercedes this year is just, I think they're just counting their eggs for next year. They're just trying to compete. Next year. I think they're going to juggle it up a little bit and make some changes and make sure that they're still relevant, right? Yeah. Ferrari right now, all they have to do is come in second to Red Bull, and their popularity is going to skyrocket next year with Lewis going to the team. It's going to be a crazy end of the year and a crazy beginning of next year. I can't wait, to be honest. But
can't wait. But when you said that about Lewis going, you jarred my memory again, where this whole thing, I'm kind of waiting to see if Adrian Newey ends up at Ferrari. You know, because like I said earlier, 2 things he said he always wanted to do. Ferrari always wanted him, but his kids were younger, so he didn't want to relocate, so he didn't do it. But he always had a desire to work with Ferrari, and he always had a desire to work with Lewis. And now you got the 2 of them together. I'm eagerly trying. I'm hoping he goes.
Salivating, man. You salivating.
I'm hoping he goes, because I would like to see what that's about. And then also, to show you how the Tifosi are, they gave Lewis a warm welcome at Imola when he came, because they know he's coming over. You know, they gave him. They already brought him in. They know, you know, so they're welcoming him. So I hope it's an interesting next year at Ferrari for him.
Absolutely. Well, fellas, it was a great episode. Everyone, please subscribe, hit the like button, and don't forget to support the channel. We'll see you in Canada.
See you in Canada.